know what's going on, y'all. Man. Man. Here we go, man. Act right for me, man. Act right, man. Come on, man. That ain't nothing.
Okay. Third time's a charm. It's all good. Things like this happen.
For sure, man. That ain't nothing but the devil trying to knock us off our path. But we gonna do what we gotta do regardless, man. So for the third time, you know what I'm saying, before we got interrupted and stuff like that, I was just basically asking for a little small breakdown of who you are as a person and like just telling us a little bit about like how you grew up and stuff like that.
Sure. So my name is Dwan. Everyone calls me D Martin. And I'm a Chicagoan through and through, born and raised here on the South Side.
Yes, sir.
I was born in South Shore, but I came up in Woodlawn and also Morgan Park.
Mm.
I went to Lindblom Technical High School. And that's it. I own Urban Lust Cafe, Urban Lust Salons, along with a few other things, all located on the south side. All of my businesses. I'm also a real estate agent or a real estate investor, no longer an agent. And all of my properties that I flip are mostly, or they're all in our neighborhoods, the south side, Woodlawn, Roseland, Inglewood. And I own properties and or landlord in those areas as well.
Okay. So for the people that's probably looking, I know they probably thinking like, you feel me? This ain't no artist and nothing like that. Like here at Fusion Radio, mostly we interview artists and stuff like that, but we also interview different businesses and stuff like that because the whole thing about Fusion Radio is just trying to give the people a platform. You know what I'm saying? The people the platform to promote their sales, promote what they got going on because we all about spread love on Fusion Radio. You feel me? That's what we got going on here at Fusion. So I definitely was excited to get this interview with you because I'm like, just with the one chance that I did get to meet you in person and chop it up with you and stuff like that, you seem like a real genuine soul and stuff like that. And you feel like I feel like you got a story to tell, you know what I'm saying? So that's what we're going to do here tonight. So I want to get in tune and I want you to break down a little bit about like why did you go down the path of being a businesswoman though? You know what I'm saying? Like, cause that's not easy. So just talk about like why did you go down that path to be a businesswoman?
Of course, I'll answer that. We had a couple false starts. I just have to mention, when I met you in person, it was absolutely a pleasure. The energy was good and things like that. But this interview is very important to me too. We do a lot of media, or I've done a lot of media on behalf of the businesses and specifically the cafe. But Brian and I have been talking almost as soon as I opened Urban Lust Cafe, and he was trying to arrange the interview. But with our schedule, specifically my schedule, I couldn't show up a few times. So he was very patient, very understanding, and just very much wanting to connect and get to know who we were. And just just giving props to, the things that's happening at the cafe. He saw that very early on. And it said that meant a lot to me and to the people we work with at the cafe. So I just want to thank you for just being persistent and still being willing to have us on the show. It's very special, a very special occasion. So I wanted to mention that. Um, to answer your question with what made me want to go into business, I went to elementary school out in Morgan Park. It was called Esmond School. And back then, when I was a young girl, they still have this program out. It's called Junior Achievement. And Junior Achievement is filled with volunteers. I think it's business people, entrepreneurs, or people who work corporate, and they go out into our schools and they speak with the youth about different things they want to do with their lives. I think mostly business. They came to my fifth grade class and they taught us about mass production. You remember those writing pens that you click and you could twist them in the middle and it had a spring and an ink tube in there? They were disassembled, right? And so they lined up all of our desks. And so the first person had to put the stick in, the next person a tube, the next person a spring, the next person twisted on. And we made a assembly line. So we were taught about different types of business structures. And this one day, I remember it was two adults, but thinking back now, they were probably very young 20s, 20 to 25 years old. And I remember it was a black man and a black woman. I was about 10. And they had on suits and they were dressed so nice and they were talking to us about all this business stuff. So ultimately, they explained to me what a conglomerate was. And I'm like, well, what's a conglomerate? And they said, well, it's when you have this big business, it's like an umbrella, and it's like the parent or the parent over smaller businesses under it. And so from that day on, 10 years old, when anyone would ask our class or my peers, what do you want to be when you grow up? And everybody's like, doctor, lawyer, a teacher. I was like, I want a conglomerate. That just made sense to me. And that's just always kind of been where my head is, not even striving to do that, but we know words have power. So, 30 years later, even 20 years later, that's kind of how my life turned out for me.
Mm. That's interesting. That's really interesting though, because basically what you're trying to explain to me is it started out as just probably a small activity. Not even so much a small activity, just an activity in general that you did in school, and that just transitioned and like spiraled into what you became today though. Like that's
Absolutely.
amazing.
And it wasn't even part of the curriculum, right? It was a part of outreach. It was some nonprofit with volunteers, people who do the type of stuff I do or the type of stuff that people we know do, where you go and you reach back to the kids or the community and you're like, hey, this is who I am and what I do. And just planting that little seed, young kids, they'll see it and ultimately know they can be it, they're exposed to things that they had not known before. It becomes or can become a reality.
Mm. Cause it seemed like to me, just from you explaining that story, it seems like you a real example of why we need to see more people that look like you and me, or just
Mhm.
people on a certain type of time just need to be put in the school system. You know what I'm saying? Just to be around those kids, just to show them that things like this are actually possible. You know what I'm saying? Because with you actually seeing that at a young age, it put that in your brain like, okay, I can actually do that. So now when you was going through your process as far as going through school, you kept that in the back of your head like, I want to be a businesswoman. You feel me? I want to own a business one day. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that's really amazing, man. That's an amazing origin story. Basically, I ain't gonna lie to you. I like
Thank you.
that. So
And I
like,
know we might talk further about this, but ultimately, when I became a full-time entrepreneur and no longer working for anyone else, these types of things and community outreach is what we do at the cafe and my other businesses, because I remember having that exposure and how it, what it did for me. So I always want to make that possible for others as well.
for sure, for sure. So talk to me a little bit about that though. So at one point in time, it seemed like you was working a job, or maybe multiple jobs, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? But one day, or at one moment, it just like got to you like, I ain't really rocking with this. I want to do something different. I want to be my own boss. I want to go into business for myself. So just like break down that moment in time that you really had that idea, and like what was it that was going on that really made you put your foot forward? Like, yeah, it's time for a change.
There's a few things, right? A few, like a culmination of things, or a few moving parts. When we talk about manifestation or just knowing that like the universe is always working in your favor, like to push you into who you're supposed to be, it's always some stuff going in the background. You don't even, or in your face, and you don't understand why it's happening. So I will say this. I did not finish college, um, but I was a stockbroker as young as 21 years old. And so I had a lengthy career in finance. And over all the jobs I've had, and I've worked like big jobs, big names, big financial firms, okay, like the biggest ones that you see everywhere. I was literally abused in every way you could think possible. I was sexually harassed. There were microaggressions, macroaggressions, just flat out bigotry and racism. There was nepotism. There were just so many things where I was always a top producer, no matter what I was doing, always. But I had to undergo so many things. One thing that was the most just the craziest story you could ever hear, and I'll make it very short, is that my mother fell terminally ill. And I made it very clear to, my managers and things like that. So they knew. It was times where I would leave out of the office, in tears, like, oh, I got to go because this procedure is happening. So I have to be there for this. And they knew, right? And so finally, my mother passed, and I took, to give you 3 days bereavement. Like, how do you grieve in 3 days? But whatever. I came back after those few days, and do you know I got called into the office, and I had two managers on the other side of the desk from me, and they were sitting there, and they were like, "We have reason to believe that you've been less than honest about your mother passing." So they accused me of lying about my mother dying. And this is one of these big companies, big banks that everyone feels so great about. So those are the type of things I underwent, right? And so that already was enough to make me not even really want to much longer work for anyone else. And then ultimately what happened was I moved away from Chicago for a very brief moment. I was gone for about a few weeks, not even a month, and I had a boyfriend still here in Chicago. And he did something that was very, very generous, a very huge romantic gesture, right? Enticing me to come back to Chicago. Well, I had moved away and I was already a month in, loving my new life, like had a great job, good money. You know what I mean? I was resort living, like living like on a resort. So I mean, like all the topping, all the bells and whistles. And all I could think about was coming back to the snow and the commuter train and getting on the metro and then still walking a mile through downtown to get. And I said, if I come back, I said, I can't do that anymore. The commuting, the working. I went through so much to get this job, writing samples, video interviewing and all this stuff. And I have to find another job that I like when I come back and do. I said, I can't do that. So the boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, was like, well, I said, I can't work if I come back. He said, we'll make that happen. And so from that point on, I gave myself like to the end of the year and just hustled really hard. And that's how I walked away from my job.
Mm, that is crazy though. Like, cause I ain't caught up in it, but like even like I'm seeing certain people commenting on the live and stuff like that. Like to get fired from, not necessarily get fired, but to be accused of your mother not actually dying and you lying about that. Like
Yeah,
who
sure.
does that?
Yeah, and I'll say on my chest, it was Chase Bank. And this particular branch was in Orland Park, Illinois.
Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And for the people that's on the live and stuff like that, that's been commenting, that's asking about Brian funeral, like Brian funeral is this Thursday. You know what I'm saying? It's this Thursday. So if you don't know the details, you could click on the Fusion Radio A page and look at the different details and stuff like that and stuff like that. But you feel me? For right now though, you feel me? We said we here with D Martin, and you feel me? So when you came back to Chicago, like I know it was hard like to get things up and rolling and stuff like that, but what was that first business that you really decided on or really put your all into that really got the ball rolling?
It wasn't hard. I'm going to disclose something to you. There's an inside joke that my friends have about me. And what they say is, D, if I didn't know you, I would swear you was lying. Because the things that have happened in my life is just so crazy. That's why I always don't give some details because it's like, but it's real. So remember I said the boyfriend was like, okay, cool, let's make this happen. I said, well, I'm going to give myself to the end of the year to be able to quit my job. And the way my mind works, right? It works very strategically, in these corporate jobs, they give you different personality tests and stuff like that. My top traits are strategy and being very analytical, right? And the third one is bringing people together, which I always was like, I don't do people. But now as I'm evolving to who I am to be, this is what I do. So anyhow, when I decided I would move back, how can I make that happen? I said, well, what I do know how to do is rent property out because I did that when I was younger. That's a whole different story. And I knew that if I had this amount of units and even with 75% of occupancy per however many units that I had, I can afford a comfortable life, even if it wasn't luxurious, but I could afford myself and not have to go in and work just by being a landlord. And so from that point on, I did the math and I closed on an apartment building every other month for a year straight.
Mm,
For 1 year straight, every other month, I was closing on 2 to 4 units, properties, every other month. It was very, very tight. Schedule because I had my deadline for me. And that's just how I function and how my brain works. And so that's what I did. And so I quit that job. And the fun fact about me is that that's the first job I've ever quit. I've been fired from every job my entire life and I've been working since I was 14. But you know, that's what happens when you're supposed to be your own boss anyway. It was never for lack of production, but this was the first job I ever quit. But I did, and it was a powerful moment for me. So yeah, so I left that job, but I was able to come back home to Chicago. I had a single family house for me. Bought a house for myself that I slid right into, and I had these other properties that I was already every other month immediately getting rents from. So you know, I was already in business, and comfortable, and not having to have any worries.
okay, okay, okay. So one thing that I know for a fact that we gotta talk about while we got your attention and we got you on live, we gotta talk about Urban Lux Cafe. You know what I'm saying? Because like y'all don't even understand how amazing that is to me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, okay, it's in the hood, is so like you just like the vibe is unmatched. Like you really gotta go to see what I mean by the vibe is unmatched. Like you have to step inside, you have to feel the vibe, especially like cause see I came on the night of vibe check. You know what I'm saying? We'll talk a little bit about the vibe check too though, you know what I'm saying? But like just the whole atmosphere, the look of it, like the music, the different people that was out there, like that was there, like it's just a whole vibe all together. You know what I'm saying? So before we even get into that, let's just talk about like how did he even get to the point where you even decided on Urban Lux Cafe? Like what led up to that though?
Again, this is one of those stories that if you didn't know me, you would think I was lying. So, so like God talks to me first thing in the morning. You know what I mean? Literally, you know, that's just when I receive my download or communication, whatever you will call it, right? And hi, pretty poodle. I'm sorry, I gotta adjust my soror. You know, I am honorary. I was inducted this past August at the Boulay. Let's talk offline about that. So yeah, one morning, you know, I told you I'm a real estate investor, right? That's how I was able to come back home and just not have a job. And one morning I woke up, as soon as I opened my eyes, I heard what was said to me by a mixed use property. And the mixed use property is apartments on top and business on bottom, right?
Mm,
That's what you see, those buildings usually on main streets.
uh-huh.
And I was like, yeah. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, you know, and got online immediately and went to like Zillow or whatever I went to look for to see what was on the market. And so my first thought was, oh, it's a real estate tip. Because I've gotten those before. I receive, you know, like, hey, and other people will say, oh, I had a gut feeling or whatever. I don't give myself credit. You know what I mean? When I get a feeling or gut feeling or something had told me, I know it's telling me. So I heard five mixed use property. I went online. The first property I saw, like 5 in the morning, was the cafe building, and I think it was $35,000 or $39,000. It was like $35,000. It had been sitting there for a while, and I just happened to have 35,000, like cash, like, but that was it. You know, pretty much about it in my savings. But you know, from being told things previously, I don't know. Just as of late, I've just learned to kind of be obedient to that instruction. And when I do, just it just explodes to something crazy big that I just never thought it would be. So long story short, I bought the property because it was cheap. I thought it was just a great deal. And then as soon as I put in the offer to spend my last money on it, um, I accidentally got the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund grants from the city of Chicago, and under Lori Lightfoot's administration, I got $217,000 to actually make a cafe. Yeah. And the cafe was supposed to be, because I was buying it with my own money, and then me and my husband was going to fix it up a little bit over time. I think he was still my boyfriend then. And we were just going to do that because we flip homes. We know how. We got a team. We was just going to fix it up. And the bottom was going to be like a little kick it little cafe for me and our friends because we do game night at home and we're kind of outgrowing the space, and we could have somewhere we could do our stuff and then fix up the upstairs and just rent that out. But when I did this application for the grant, I didn't think there was going to come of anything. I see a cafe. Well, they gave me money for a cafe. So my first thought was, man, I got these people money now. I got to have a real cafe, like a real business. I don't know how to be no cafe. I've never worked food service. Like, I don't know anything about any of this. And so I moved forth with that. And before you know it, people, the community started coming to tell me like the things that they wanted, the things that they needed. And I feel it's very important to be inclusive. And anyone who comes to the cafe kind of knows that. That's how we build a lot of relationships. People come to me and say, hey, Miss D, I don't know why they call me Miss D. I'm an old person now, right? Miss D, I want to do this, I want to do this or that, right? And we do, and we build out the night, and now we have additional programming. So that's how the open mics and the spoken word and the vibe checks, and we do all these live podcasts, and we're doing like this live DJ thing now, almost like an open mic, but with DJs, doing house music, and just so many special things there. A lot of community outreach.
That's crazy though. So, cause I remember you explaining that to me when I met you in person. That like, it wasn't necessarily like it was an accident, but like it turned into a beautiful accident. You get what I'm saying? So like, I want to talk a little bit about these vibe checks, and the reason I picked that specific event that y'all do that because I was a part of a vibe check. You get what I'm saying? I know the experience. So like, talk to me a little bit about like how did that come into play and like what's your relationship with my boy Hef Banks? You get what I'm saying? Because I rock with boy, I rock with my boy. You know what I'm saying? Hef, good dude.
I do too. So Hef is, I'm calling him my brother. And the way this happened is that as I stated, that I have a mindset, and also I guess our business model ultimately, right, is to be very inclusive. So Hef is one of a few people, we've just celebrated our first year anniversary on February 2nd, so just a couple weeks ago. Hef very early on, along with a few others, he just DM'd me one day, because we were going live, on social media and stuff like that. Like, all this stuff is new for me. I've never had a restaurant. I'm not a musician or a poet or anything like that. But since we've opened, I've played instruments and I've done poetry, I've done stand-up comedy, I've done all these things. But Hef early on saw something, maybe I post some content, or clips, or went live, and he DM'd me and said, hey, I would like to do this thing, which ultimately is the vibe check. But I was like, well, sure. And earlier on then and still now, I went to his page, did a little vetting myself, had some conversation with him about, just who we are, and just the energy that's important for us in our space. His energy was good. And he came out, he did his first one. I think maybe at that time we discussed doing a monthly, and he just has ever since then, almost a whole year. We also acknowledged him as just as a cafe advocate. We had the Luxie Awards in December, and we acknowledged him. He got a trophy and everything like that. So it's been a beautiful relationship. He's building out his business, and we, as a newer business, is getting the exposure, and just arts along with his vibe check and other things we do is just really thriving at the cafe.
And like one big thing that we definitely gotta express about Urban Lux Cafe is like this in the hood. This ain't like downtown in the suburbs. This is on 79th and Exchange. You get what I'm saying? Like everybody that's from Chicago knows about 79th and Exchange. Like we know what goes on in that area. You get what I'm saying? As far as like the different situations and stuff like that. Like that's not no real. I won't even say like it's. I won't even call it a bad neighborhood. You get what I'm saying? Because it's bad neighborhoods everywhere. You get what I'm saying? But it's one of those neighborhoods. You get what I'm saying? But like for y'all to put something like that smack dab in the hood, it's like it's amazing to me because it's like when you walk in there, you will fake forget where you at for a second because of the type of style and the vibe that y'all got going on down there. Like that's how I kind of got lost in the sauce for a second. I'm like, man.
Yeah, everyone forgets. Everyone forgets, and a lot of people come to just see what it is or to grab a cup of coffee to support, right? So in and out, but end up staying 6 hours, 5, 6, 7 hours. So that happens a lot. And then when they turn around and leave out, they're like, I forgot I was a 79. That happens a lot. But we also hear a lot is from many people who don't even know each other. They say this verbatim. They say, when I stepped in, I felt like I got a hug. Like people say that too. The place where our particular building, it used to be a motorcycle club. And I was not there to witness this, but the community and word is there was, stabbings and shootings that happened there years ago. And yes, we do often fight against a previous relationship and a stigma of what 79th Street East or 79th Street period brings, right? I came up in the 90s. The 90s is when I was a teenager. So, I lost a lot of friends, from far south in the Hunnies, Morgan Park to, down this way towards 63rd Street. But 79th Street was something else, back then. And that reputation and stigma is still there. And anyone who comes out to the cafe, we, we all kind of walk out together at night. Ain't no we locking up because we close. Like everybody, the party is over, the show is over. We're closed for business now, and everybody's comfortable enough, and we all just kind of walk out. When we walk out, be it 10 o'clock at night, we're the only ones out there. It's peaceful. We've not had any violence, any issues, no nothing. The neighborhood, they're happy that we're there. I can't say that they're our customers. They don't really come in there, but they're happy that we're there, right? They tell us so. And we also do community outreach. We feed the neighbors and stuff like that. Um, any and then also the neighborhood is changing. And I just wonder how long will it be before that stigma is gone. There's this project called Thrive Exchange coming. For anyone who's watching, you can Google it. And we're right almost on the corner of Exchange. We're on 79th Street, but those three corners will be three large mixed-use properties that will be developed. Bigger than mine, of course, meaning like 3, 4 businesses on the bottom. One of them will have 43, I think, luxury condos on top. The other mixed use will have a few businesses on bottom and 20 something luxury apartments on top. Then there's another medical facility. So those three corners right across the street from me, that's supposed to be happening. And they just broke ground on one of them right across from Little Caesars. It was a currency exchange, an old rundown one. That's been demolished now. It's not there anymore because they're breaking ground to start building the first property that I'm speaking of. And then that quantum physics facility is coming. It's very big and controversial. That's happening right on South Shore Drive where they built out further south, right on the water where the steel mill was,
Mm-hmm.
coming to like 83rd-ish. And then like from 83rd-ish to 79th, that new Advocate Hospital just got approved and is being built there right on 79th and South Shore. So there's a lot of things that's coming in the next, I hope, year to 2 years. But they've broken ground on some of these things. I'm very happy about that.
And that's what we need. We need the it seems like it takes us. You get what I'm saying? When I say us, I'm not just necessarily saying you and me. I'm talking like us as a people. You get what I'm saying? It takes us as a community to come together to get these things pushed and get these things done. You get what I'm saying? Because we always we always talk about the stigma, but we never talk about what we necessarily need to do to change that stigma. You get what I'm saying? And it starts with
Yeah.
people like us. It starts with people like you doing the things that you doing and connecting with the community and stuff like that because people won't change. You get what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't have the power and the initiative to create that
Or
change. You
the
get what I'm saying?
vision. And it's very hard for me too. I don't choose to be on social media, but I am because I have to promote this business. It's very difficult. Most new businesses, they don't make it the first year. And certainly a new food business or restaurant doesn't even make it the first 6 months. So I'm just very active and work hard for every piece of visibility or every person that comes through there, right? And so on social media, we're putting out all these positive things. We just had we had Sherm Dilla there last week for Black History Month, and he did a beautiful presentation for Black culture and how it's contributed to our Black history here in Chicago specifically. And this coming weekend, we have what we're calling Black Diamonds, which is breaking barriers in baseball. And it's speaking to like the Negro League and Black baseball player history and our contributions to baseball. And we have Robert Sykes, who happens to be our music director at the cafe. He happens to be a baseball enthusiast. He has a humongous collection of Black and Negro League memorabilia. So he's bringing in all of his rookie cards and helmets and bats and everything. And we're inviting everyone in to see all of his treasures. He'll curate that. And then my cousin is a former pro baseball player. He played for the Padres, and he's going to come in and do a presentation as well. And whether you're into baseball or whatever other non-traditional sport that we all just jump right into, I think some of these lessons can be, or you could apply it to anything, right? Breaking through barriers for anything that you're doing. Because even me as a stockbroker, I was almost always the only woman. Definitely always the only Black woman. Most times the only Black, but there was no Black women stockbrokers in my field. And even then, I was doing community outreach and had my last firm, Charles Schwab, which I love. If I was going to work for anyone forever, I would have stayed with them. But they gave me budget to create an internship to bring in inner city youth, our youth in for internships so they could see jobs in finance because again, you can't be what you can't see. But those are the types of things that takes moving us forward. When I'm on social media and we're posting all these great things, you'll see the comments on 79th Street, good, go out there to, get us home, things like that. So I'm always having to fight against that, or even with being a real estate investor or buying a cafe. Why over there? And to that I always say, well, why not there? We also deserve nice things, and so that's why, as nice as the cafe is, as you mentioned it, I did all the design myself. Every intricate detail was, here. And my husband, we do construction. He has a construction team. We did all of that ourselves and made it as nice as it would be if we were anywhere else in the city because we deserve to have nice things as well. And then lastly, you spoke to that mindset for the people who say over there. Well, I say, well, yeah, over here. First of all, we're over here, right? Your cousins, our people, we're over here. And the thing that makes me upset about that is that the minute a non-Black person, a white person or an Arab or someone comes and they buy, let's say if they bought the cafe building and did whatever with it, first thing they want to say is, they coming over here buying up everything. But when I buy it, they mad about that too. They're, why would you do that? So mentality has to be changed.
Exactly. That's one thing I had to learn throughout my years, especially like growing up and maturing as a man. I had to learn that in this life, it don't matter what you doing in this life. You could be trying to be the most positive person ever, try to do the most positive things ever. You get what I'm saying? But like, people still gonna have stuff to say, like, regardless. Like, it don't matter what you doing out here. Like, you could be trying your hardest to have everybody like you. Everybody not gonna like you. Everybody not gonna rock with what you're doing. It's gonna always be somebody that got something to say. You get what I'm saying? So it just puts me in a mind state of, let me just do what I need to do for myself and my loved ones and the people I care about and just keep trucking on and don't really tune in to too much of what nobody else outside of the bubble got to really say, because it don't matter what I'm doing, y'all gonna have something to say about me regardless. You get what I'm saying? Like, so you don't trip on that. You get what I'm saying? Because people like me applaud you for staying on 79th or just staying in the hood. You get what I'm saying? Because you could have took your grant money or your money in general and you could have went downtown or went to the suburbs or went to another location, but you chose to keep the money in the hood. You chose to keep the money around your people. You feel me? The people that look like you. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I don't want people to get this misconstrued like we have a problem with any other race or
No,
like nothing like that. It's just,
not at
it
all.
feels a little better when you get a chance to be around your people, the people that look like you, the people that struggle the way you struggle, or people that go through the same things that you go through. You get what I'm saying? And you get a chance to come to a place and rejoice and just enjoy yourself. You get what I'm saying? Because it's not really that many places on 79th or just in the hood in general, like your establishment that people could really come to and just relax and enjoy themselves. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because that's
Mhm.
exactly what I got a chance to do when I came out. You get what I'm saying? Even though I came out to perform and stuff like that, it gave me a good opportunity to network and meet new people that I probably would have never even got a chance to meet on the streets, and just like really just take a time to just debrief and be like, man, like I'm rocking with
And
this. You know what I'm saying? Like
be
that's amazing.
comfortable. Yeah. It's been such a learning lesson for me, I don't have any small children. My daughter's is an adult. But there's also this stigma about our youth. And youth is different now too, because I thought youth was just kid, but now we're calling youth up to 30 years old, but I digress. So, you know, but the stigma about the youth. Yes, can I answer this question? Grant money specifically for business on South Side and West Sides of the city. Yes. Neighborhood Opportunity Fund was a part of Invest Southwest. It was Mayor Rahm Manuel's, I think his baby in his head, right? But he didn't get a chance to execute it. So when Lightfoot came in, she actually picked up from that and she made it happen. In a new administration, they're doing something else. But Lori Lightfoot made it happen. That's how I got, So yes, specifically for the west side and south sides of the city, and not every community. The communities that need it, right? So like Hyde Park is the south side. So you could not use those funds to build a business in Hyde Park. We got enough business on 53rd Street too. That's another thing. Everybody want me to go on 53rd for what? No. But certain neighborhoods. Um, but what's it? Oh yeah, so the youth. So what I've learned, what I've seen, and what's had me to grow so much. Yes, I digress, Starlight. Is I I had these notions, preconceived notions in my head about the youth or the young adults and the young men, our young men, right? Um, because of some things I've seen, some things we've heard, things we see on the news and so forth, right? That has actually happened. But in our cafe, I can't even begin to tell you the magical moments. Every day is just magical moments that you would think I was lying if you didn't know me. You know what I mean? Like one night, we clean up late. We clean up late and everybody has left and we're mopping, we're sweeping, we're whatever. And I'm cleaning out the popcorn machine. And I happen to look over my head, over my shoulder. And in my doorway was my employee at the time was a 57-year-old man. It was another guy. He was in his 40s. He just happened to be walking down the street. He saw our street sidewalk sign that said open mic tonight. So he came in and he participated. And then it was I'm gonna put his business out there. I call him my birthday son. We got the same birthday. His name is Will the Poet. And Will is, I think he's maybe 21 at the time. I don't know. But Will 21, a 40-some-year-old man, a 57-year-old man. They're standing outside of my door, the glass door at the cafe, under our porch light thing, holding hands in a circle, praying for each other and for our business. They just met each other that night, but that's the type of stuff that happens, like stuff yes, on 79th, you know what I mean? Like, it was so random. They were just like supporting each other, loving on each other. And that's what happens at the cafe every single day. Every single day, you'll see people hugging each other. For the first time in my life, I was there working one day, and we have a couch in the front and seating area. And it was
Hmm.
a lady who came and bought some chicken wings. She's sitting there reading her book, and then after that, some other lady came in, didn't know her, and she bought whatever she was gonna buy, and she sat down. I looked up again, and they're sharing food with each other. You know what I mean? Like just strangers. And that happens a lot. So it's just so many crazy things that you could not imagine at all. We just donated 400 pounds of toys and books to a women's shelter over Christmas because I asked for toys, and we have 400 pounds. That's a lot of
No,
toys.
that definitely is. That's
Yeah.
because, like, okay, on my path as far as like being an artist and stuff like that, and just my path as being a human being and being a man, I notice certain things like when something is for you, you get what I'm saying? Like God put certain things in place to make things happen. You get what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
when things aren't for you, he put certain things in your path to show you that it's not for you. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? Like you go through certain things and things go left, and you be like, man, why I'm going through this? Why this happening? This, because whatever you trying to do ain't for you. But he's trying to give you that message through your ills that you taking. You know what I'm saying? But when it's for you, he does things like how you ask. You probably just was like, man, whatever y'all could donate and out the band, whatever the case may be, and the whole time you end up getting 400 pounds of toys to donate back to the community. That's because God is basically trying to show you like the work that you're doing in his community, which is 79th and exchange, is what he believes you should be doing. Because it's no secret that you were supposed to get that money as far as that grant money and stuff like that. None of that happened for no reason. You get what I'm saying? Everything that has happened to you that led you up to being this businesswoman, as far as like how you explained to me from the beginning of your story, from being a stockbroker to transitioning to when you left town to coming back, like all those things happen the way they happen on purpose. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like it happened at the time that it happened on purpose. It happened with the people that it happened at the time on purpose, because everything, I feel like everything happens for a reason, and everybody that comes into your life at a certain time for a certain reason. You know what I'm saying? So that's amazing, man. That's amazing. And we didn't had like one we had one of those talks. Like we had one of those talks where like like one of those talks where it's like we could really be sitting up here forever just having this
Mhm.
conversation, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But with me knowing how busy you are, you know what I'm saying, like I just want to thank you for the moment that you actually did give me and stuff like that. But before we close out your interview, you know what I'm saying, before we close out this amazing interview, I ask everybody that comes on Fusion Radio Uncut to at least give me some piece of advice. You know what I'm saying? Like most of the times with the artists, I either ask them to give me a piece of advice on the music side or just the life side. But with you being a businesswoman, I want you to like, could you at least give me a piece of advice on the business side that you feel is helpful, or just a piece of advice that you feel like is helpful in life in general? You know what I'm saying?
Sure. There's so much advice I could give. So I have a lot of models myself. Um, One thing you actually highlighted, you actually said, and this is something I do live by, is when things are for you, you know, it happens with ease, right? You get all the things that you need. If it's not for you, you find yourself really, I almost feel like you're working like uphill. It's so hard to do. It's so hard to do. So just always be tapped into that. And then the other thing that I always will say is people be like, girl, D, you be doing this and that, or how you do this and how you do, you know, whatever, like the cafe. I've never worked food service. I don't even drink coffee, like none of that, right? How you do that? And I'm like, I just be doing stuff. Like, even though you're afraid, right? Still push through it. You will always be provided with the things that you need, right? If you're acting in alignment with things that will either benefit yourself or for someone else, right? And if you're not, some like I thought when I received my download, it was a real estate tip. So I was still just moving forward. I was being obedient, right? Be obedient to those things, right? To those messages. I was just being obedient, but it ended up being something else. So even though I was nervous when I started to realize, like, oh man, I gotta really do this, I just kept moving forward in faith. And I was supplied with every single thing that I needed, everything. I literally was like, I got this grant money. I don't even know how to make coffee. And I don't know anything about coffee or anything like that. I need someone to work here with me who knows coffee. And then I immediately went on Facebook, and there was a message under my cafe picture that I posted of the building.
Mhm.
And there was a young lady saying, I'm the best barista in the whole city of Chicago. You need me to work in your cafe. And I was like, and it was Unique. Unique still works there with us. She's my manager. So Unique has been with me since months before the cafe even opened up. And the day that she put that message on there, I went to her bio to see who she was, but she was already DMing me her bio, telling me who she was, what cafe she worked for, how coffee is her passion. She knows everything about it, and she does. And so she's helped me, you know, build out the business. Like I said, I'm very inclusive. So back to your question. The story is, listen to those downloads you receive, move forward in faith, and just know if it's a struggle and you're steadily trying to push, it's not for you. Pivot and really tap in and see, you know, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And also don't be afraid about lack of experience, and definitely don't be afraid about what the naysayers will say, because they always gonna say something.
Always, like it don't matter what it,
Always. Even
that's
when you're doing the
crazy.
best of the best, it's never enough.
Like, cause I always tell myself this, people talked about Jesus. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
like people like once you really wrap your head around that and you think about like how we like look at Jesus as far as like how certain people look at him and hold him to a certain light, it's people out here that criticized and talked about him. So and like if you really want to you feel me, totem pole, we under him. So you know what I'm saying? It's like you gotta take that with a grain of salt and you gotta understand it's what comes with the territory. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. If you ain't
You
doing
ain't
something
doing,
right, you know what I'm saying?
you ain't doing nothing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
a
and I do want to encourage everyone to come out. We are open Thursday through Sundays. The hours are on the bios of each of the social media platforms. I believe it's updated on the website as well, which is urbanluxcafe.com. But we're open Thursday through Sundays, and Thursdays is all talent open mic. Fridays is spoken word open mic. Saturdays we do a variety of things from like the vibe check, which is music showcases, to live podcast with 290 Mo. He comes there once a month. He has his show there.
okay.
So we do that. And Sundays, we have we have a resident band. We have a house band, and that's the Black Harmonics, and they're amazing. Like, and that is a whole different situation. But just know that there was no music in our community, no live music in our community. And now they're popping up here and there, and that's cool. It's cool to be trailblazers. That's wonderful. That was our goal, though, because back before I was born, before you was born, obviously, like 79th Street, 63rd Street, these are all major corridors of live entertainment, live music. The Regals down there, like Red Fox and all them was all up and down 79th Street. Why don't we have a live instrument on 79? So that was my goal, and I said I really wanted that, and I was reaching out to different bands. They was like 1,800 for 2 hours. I was like, we can't afford that. We just opened up, and here come a young man in my DM who lives in South Shore, who I didn't know, who said, I want to bring live music to South Shore. I live over here. I have a guitar and a band, but I've never been able to play in my own neighborhood. And by that time, I was scorned. I said, we don't have no budget for you, because everybody was all this money. He said, did I ask you for budget? So Robert Sykes, he leads the Black Harmonics. That's our house band. We have live music every single Sunday. The live band is there every single, and it's free admission. It's free admission. All these things I've mentioned, from the spoken word, all talent open mic, but all that stuff is free for our community, and people aren't taking advantage of it. People are not. It's free entry. It's BYOB. We do ask that you make a food purchase. And unfortunately, during March, we might end up mandating that because I have to be able to pay Unique, my barista, the best barista in Chicago. But we ask you to make purchase. To make purchase to enjoy our beautiful space. You spoke to how beautiful the space is, and the food is delicious. And we have super premium ice cream. We have a team of rotating open mic hosts that I just want to acknowledge. I know you're wrapping this up, but we have Tony Monoflow, we have Ashanti Starlight, we have the Queen Sings, Alexis Brown, we have I Am Adverb, we have like the top talent MCs, hosts, spoken word artists. We're all collectively coming together to build something beautiful for us. And people need to show up and receive what's being built for us.
Nah, see, I wasn't like on some trying to hurry up and wrap it up. I was gonna ask you to do exactly what you end up doing, like just shouting out the different people that help you do what you do down there at the cafe and stuff like that. But you already accomplished that. So before we do get up out of here and stuff like that, you gotta get the people the address, and you gotta get them again, just one more time, get them the address and like the different times that you open and stuff like that, so they could definitely come check y'all out.
For sure, we're located at 2911 East 79th Street. That's 179th Street, right off of Exchange. And we're open Thursday through Sundays. Thursday and Friday, we're open 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 12 p.m. until 9 p.m. If you forget these hours, everything is located. The hours are located at the top of the bio at Urban Lux Cafe on Facebook or Instagram and TikTok. And our website is urbanluxcafe.com. Thursdays is all talent open mic. So if you like to tap dance, sing, rap, juggle, do monologues. People come and do monologues. You can come in and do that on any Thursday, play an instrument. Of course, we always encourage instruments. On Fridays, it's spoken word open mic, so the mic is open there. Just come in and sign the list. We don't make you pay to get on stage and express your art. Okay? We do ask that you come and support the cafe. You make a purchase. That's Starlight right there, pinning the address. So that's one of our hosts. See, it's just teamwork. They always looking out, right? Just show up. Just show up. Thank you so much.
That's what I'm
So
talking
spoken word on
about.
Fridays. And then Saturdays, if you look on our page, we're always posting the flyers, right? So Saturdays are rotating things. We have everything from the vibe check. We have Banks, which is a music showcase, 290 Mo live podcast. We have Magoo and Friends, who is a DJ. He comes and does house music, but kind of like a house music open mic showcase. I don't know really what to call it. It's very unique. And forgive me if I'm forgetting anything else, but those rotate as well on Saturdays. But every single Sunday is a live music. And when I say live music, it's no tracks. We have a full band. We have instruments. We oftentimes will have Urban Lux Live, which is, let's say on Thursdays, the open mic, right? And there's a singer or a rapper who I'm just so blown away by, or just a favorite of mine, or just somebody I'm like, this person is just unique, or what have you. We will give them what's called an Urban Lux Live, and we'll put our band behind them, and they get to produce or have their own show on a Sunday evening and bring out all their supporters and their family to see them perform in this way. And almost always, maybe except for maybe one person, almost always it is that artist's first time performing with live instruments. So they're forced to kind of have to step outside of their element, and pick up a new skill, or at least a new experience. And a lot of times they just move forth and do other things.
Mm. That's what I'm talking about. D Martin putting on for the nine. That's what I'm talking about. Putting on for 79th Street, man. That's what I love, man. Cause I'm from over east. You get what I'm saying? That's like, I wouldn't say I'm from 79th, but I'm from over east. You get what I'm saying? I'm from 93rd Street. You get what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that's nothing but a skip and a
Yeah,
hop.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That's right there. So like, I want to congratulate you, and I want to definitely really big like like I'm so excited right now. I can't even get my words straight because it's like what you doing. A lot of people's not doing. Like a lot of people get the money that you got and go on to these other neighborhoods, but with you staying like true to yourself and staying true to the culture, like I can't do nothing but respect that. You know what I'm saying? So again, I want to thank you for giving me a little bit of your time. I want to thank the people that's been watching us on live. You know what I'm saying? That's been saying all the encouraging things. You
Yes,
feel
thank
me?
you. Thank you.
Definitely giving all the support. I want to shout out your team. You feel me? Because they've been doing they 1-2 on the lab, definitely supporting and stuff like that. So I'm rocking with y'all, man. I'm rocking with Urban Lux Cafe. I'm definitely rocking with you, and I definitely support you, Ms. Martin. I definitely do, because you doing your thing. We need more people like you. Maybe what your story is, and maybe somebody that's gonna watch this live will probably listen to your story and listen to the different things that you broke down and stuff like that. And maybe you probably inspire somebody today. You never know.
I
You
hope
might
so.
probably.
I'm really hopeful for neighbors. To be honest with you, I have Little Caesars and a liquor store next to me. So that's not community. And to be honest with you and very transparent, it's very lonely over there. Just one day I literally woke up and I felt lonely. Like it's no development, it's no commerce. You go to these other I drive down Armitage, me and my husband been and went and did something or had dinner or some whatever, and we're driving down Armitage. And every single storefront next door to each other, business is booming. They're sitting outside on the sidewalk having dinner and charcuterie. We sell charcuterie, but they have business neighbors and they can support each other, and their business attracts a more business and cross-pollinating business. And it's literally just me. You seen that on my side of the street, almost for a mile down on my side, it's nothing over there. Across the street, a mile, what, Family Dollar is about three-quarters of a mile down. It's nothing over there. It's just us. So, I wish that some more of us will come over there and open businesses where I am.
For sure, man. So that's something that we gotta get on, man. We gotta change that stigma. We gotta get to it, man. So like I said, I definitely appreciate you giving me a little bit of your time and stuff like that. I definitely appreciate you doing an interview, and I hope and I pray that your business continue to strive and y'all just get bigger and bigger every year. But for right
Thank
now,
you.
we finna go ahead sign out. And like I said, I appreciate everybody that tuned in with us and stuff like that. And just keep in tune with Urban Lux Cafe and keep in tune with Fusion Radio. Catch y'all later.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No problem.